What's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a Nekroz deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this one for you guys because this deck was actually suggested by one of my patrons, Luke. And this deck just got some amazing support at the most recent set that takes this deck to a whole new level. So without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can come for our notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. And definitely give Luke some love down in the comments down below for suggesting such an awesome deck. So let's get straight on into this one, guys. So first off, we're playing a single copy of Nekroz of Metaltron. Nekroz of Metaltron is definitely a one-of in the build because this card actually helps you spot remove your opponent's monsters off the field, with the ability that during the main phase, quick effect, you can actually target a face-up monster that your opponent controls and banish this card until the end phase and do banish that monster, which is a really powerful effect because we'll get this card back during the end phase so we can use this effect all over again, but our opponent will not get their monster back. This card also has the ability that any monster destroyed by battle with your Nekroz monsters is banished, which can really mess up your opponent's plays. We have a single copy of Nekroz of Arbalair. Arbalair is really good as a one-of in the build because this card is actually a walking negate. Then when a monster effect is activated, quick effect, you can actually attribute one monster from your hand or field to negate the activation, and if you do, banish that card, which is an amazing ability to be able to use. We have a single copy of Trishula. Trishula is crazy powerful to help you banish your opponent's cards with the ability that when this card is ritual summoned, you can actually banish exactly 3 of your opponent's cards, 1 each from their hand, field, and graveyard, and the card in the hand is chosen at random, which is so cool for this card to be able to do, just to help you spot remove 3 cards. We have a single copy of Valkyris. Valkyris is really powerful in this deck, so this card can actually protect us from being OTK'd with the ability that when an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can actually banish a Nekroz card from the graveyard, discard this card, and negate the attack, and then end the battle phase. This card also has an insane effect when it's on the field, that during your main phase, you can actually tribute up to 2 monsters from your hand and or field, and if you do, draw the same number of cards as you tributed, which is a really powerful effect. We then play 3 copies of Brionac. Brionac is definitely a 3-of in the build because this card is kind of like a Rhoda for the deck, which you can discard this card to add a Nekroz monster from your deck to your hand, which is a crazy powerful effect to grab the exact card that you need off this card's ability. We then play 2 copies of Unicorn. Unicorn is an extremely powerful floodgate for the deck with an insane ability that when this card's on your side of the field, you negate the effects of face-up monsters on the field that were special summoned from the extract, essentially locking down the board because all our big boss monsters actually come out of our ritual monsters in this deck, so it really doesn't affect us, but it completely shuts down our opponent's plays. With my single copy of Colossalus. Colossalus is great, but I feel like 1 copy is really all you need now. This card is the ability that you can actually discard this card to add a Nekroz spell or trap from your deck to your hand, and also during either player's turn, you can target a face-up monster on the field that was special summoned from the extract, and until the end of this turn, that target loses all of its attack points and goes to 0, and also its effects are negated, which is a crazy powerful ability to help you protect your copy of Unicorn. We then play 3 copies of Advanced Swordsman of Nekroz. This card is the best normal summon in the entire deck now. This card is built when this card is normal summon, you can actually special summon a Nekroz monster from your deck, which is always going to be your copy of Amelia. And if this card is tributed by a card effect, you can add to your hand any number of your banished Nekroz cards with different names, but you can only use that effect once per duel. We then play 3 copies of Amelia. Amelia is definitely a 3-of in the build, and one of the most powerful new cards we actually got, as this card is basically the Stratos for the deck. And if this card is normally special summoned, you can add a Nekroz ritual monster or a Nekroz spell from your deck to your hand, grabbing the exact card that you need. And this card is so powerful in the deck because it also has the ability, if you have a warrior Nekroz monster on the field in the graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand, which is such a powerful effect. We then play a single copy of Great Sorcerer. Great Sorcerer is a really good 1-of in the build, and I absolutely love this card in the deck because if this card is treated by a card effect, you can add a spellcaster type Nekroz ritual monster from your deck to your hand, which is a pretty cool effect to grab the exact card that you need. We then play a single copy of Shurit. Shuren is really good in this build as a 1-up because this card, just like your copy of Amelia and Advance, has the ability that if you ritual summon exactly one Nekroz ritual monster with a card effect that requires the use of a monster, you can actually use this card as the entire tribute. And this card has the insane ability, if this card is used as a tribute, you can actually add a Warrior Nekroz ritual monster from your deck to your hand, which is a great effect to grab the exact card that you need. We then play a single copy of Dogmatica Maximus. Maximus is really powerful in this deck to play alongside the rest of our Dogmatica cards with Nadir, because this card has an insane effect that you can actually banish a Fusion, Synchro, Exe, or Link monster from your graveyard, and then special summon this card from your hand. This card is crazy powerful as well, because during the main phase, you can actually activate this effect to send 2 monsters with different names from your X deck to the graveyard, and also your opponent sends 2 monsters from their X deck to the graveyard, and also you cannot special summon the X deck for the rest turn, which is not that big of a deal, as all of our big boss monsters come from the main deck in the form of our ritual monsters. But this card is awesome to be able to use to send cards like Herald of the Arclight or Elder Antinist to the graveyard to get a search or a pop, which is so cool. And this card is really good because we basically played it 4 in this build, as we actually play our copies of Nadir Servant to search it out from our deck to our hand, setting this card up by sending Garrigus to the graveyard so we can instantly bring this card out to our side of the field and start using its effect to be able to get rid of cards out of our extra deck and out of our opponent's extra deck. We then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom's definitely a 3-up in the build just to stop our opponent from touching the deck. And then we play 3 copies of Molcharmy Fluros. Molcharmy Fluros is really good in this build just to help us dig into the deck for the exact cards we need. It's just a really powerful hand trap overall. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start with a single copy of Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave is definitely a 1-up in the build just to stop your opponent's hand traps where you're going in for all of your plays. Then we have a single copy of Nekroz Mirror. Mirror is great as a 1-up in the build because this card can be used to ritual summon any Nekroz ritual monster, and you tribute monsters from your hand or field and or banish Nekroz monsters from your graveyard. Then you get to ritual summon a Nekroz ritual monster from your hand whose level exactly equals the level of the monsters that you use for a tribute to actually summon it out, which is such a cool ability to instantly bring out the exact card that you need. We play a single copy of Nekroz Cycle. Cycle is great as a 1-up in the build as well, and I absolutely love this card in the deck because this card has a super unique ability that you actually tribute monsters from your hand or field, and then you get to ritual summon a Nekroz ritual monster from the hand or the graveyard, which is a great ability to instantly bring out a monster back from the grave. We play a single copy of Kaleidoscope. Kaleidoscope is crazy powerful because we can actually use monsters from our extra to pay the cost to summon out multiple ritual monsters to our side of the field. This card is definitely a 1-up in the build, one of the most unique ritual spells ever created. We then play 2 copies of Divine Mirror. Divine Mirror is great in the build and such a powerful new card, but I really feel like this card should have been printed as a secret so we could have had all the ritual spells as secrets. But this card has the ability that during the main phase, you can actually ritual summon 1 Nekroz ritual monster from the hand or banishment by tributing monsters from your hand or field and or sending Nekroz monsters from your X deck to the graveyard, whose total level equal or exceed its level. And also, during your main phase, you can banish this card and a Nekroz monster from the graveyard to add a Nekroz spell from your deck to your hand, which is a really powerful effect to be able to use. We then play 3 copies of Preparation of Rites. Preparation of Rites is basically a rotor for the deck, letting us add a level 7 or lower ritual monster from our deck to your hand. Then you can add a ritual spell from your deck graveyard to your hand, which is a great ability to add a ritual spell from the graveyard to your hand if you have one in the grave, but you don't have to add the card from your graveyard. You can just use this card to grab a ritual monster. We then play 3 copies of Nadir. Nadir is great to grab our copy of Maximus and also sets up our copy of Maximus because this card lets us send a monster from our X deck to the graveyard and then add a Dogmatica monster or a Fallen of Almaz from our deck or graveyard to our hand that has attack less than or equal than the sent monsters to the graveyard, but it locks us out of the X deck for the rest turn, which again is not that big of a deal. But this card is amazing to be able to play in the build to instantly get to our copy of Maximus by sending something to the graveyard like a Garrigus, so we can get a draw out of it as well, which is really, really good. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're just going to be playing we're going to be playing 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Infinite Impermanence is definitely a 3-up on the build, just to basically stop our opponent's monster effects and also lock down entire columns of spells and traps. This card is an amazing hand trap to be able to use alongside all the other cards in this deck, but this card is just really good overall in the build. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to start off with Herald of the Arclight. Herald of the Arclight is definitely a 2-of in the build, because this card is an awesome fact that if it does touch the graveyard, you can actually add a ritual monster or ritual spell from our deck to our hand, searching out the exact card that we need, making this one of the most powerful Maximus targets we can use. And then a single copy of Golden Cloud Beast. Golden Cloud Beast is super helpful in this deck, as this card is really, if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can actually target a face-up card your opponent controls and return it back to the hand. And then a single copy of Wind Pegasus. Wind Pegasus helps us spin cards off the field. Now this card has an awesome fact that if it's in the graveyard, you can banish this card and then target one card your opponent controls and shuffle it into the deck. And then a single copy of Lulurath. Lulurath is really good in this deck as a 1-up because it is a level 12 monster that we can use with our copy of Kaleidoscope, which is why I play this card in the build. You can play any level 12 that you want, but I just really like playing Lulurath. We then play 2 copies of Elder Entity Nist. Elder Entity Nist is awesome to build because if it does touch the graveyard, we get to pop a card on the field, which is really good. And then a single copy of Garua. Garua is awesome in this deck as a 1-of because if it does touch the graveyard, we can actually draw a card, and it works really well with our copy of Maximus because if it does touch the graveyard, we do get to draw that card off Nadir while also adding Maximus to our hand and getting a monster in the graveyard to be able to banish, so we can actually summon out Maximus and send 2 additional monsters from our extra deck to the graveyard. And then a single copy of Totally Awesome. Totally Awesome is awesome in this deck. This card is an awesome ability. If it does touch the graveyard, you actually get to add a water monster from the graveyard back to your hand, which is a pretty cool effect to be able to use to recover one of our Nekroz cards. And then a single copy of Baguska. Baguska is great in the deck, just to help us lock down the board just in case we need to. And a single copy of Aggregator. Aggregator is great as well, just because this card actually negates card if it does touch the field. And then a single copy of Typhon. Typhon's one of the rare cards in the entire extra deck that we actually summon, because this card actually is a skill drain for 3,000 higher attack with monsters, and it's a bounce. And then a single copy of Dynamundo. Dynamundo is great in any ritual deck, and just a really good option in this build. 1 copy of SP. SP is a great double interruption and just an awesome card overall, one of the most powerful extract monsters ever created. And then finally, a single copy of IP. IP is great to go along with our copy of SP because we can actually bring out our copy of SP during the opponent's turn to use it as an interruption. It's just a really good option overall in this deck. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed. This deck is super fun to be able to play. I'm so glad we finally got support for Nekroz because it's such a fun deck to be able to play. And I absolutely love playing this build because it's so amazing just to be able to summon out all your really cool ritual monsters, especially with all the really good new support. So that's it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell and there so you can become part of the notification squad. We'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.